What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Got a guy on today that I was in USP Lee with, Ronnie, Bull City, NC. A lot of people know this cat. He's been around, been involved in some stuff, got hit in the face with one of the things we can't say certain things in the beginning of the video, but we'll get into it in a minute. Anyway, Ronnie, tell the people who you are, where you're from, and let's talk about you. And we'll also talk about your father, who was a Hell's Angel.
How you doing, Chad? I appreciate you letting me come on and talk with you a little bit. Been a long time since we've seen each other. My name's Ronnie Turner. I'm from Durham, North Carolina. When I was in the Fed, they called me Bull City or NC. You hear Chad talk about the independent cars and stuff like that. I came in kind of in the middle of that and had some shady homeboys and was tired of that and just stepped up and had a little following for a little while, and then, of course, the wheels fell off every once in a while, but we got them back on.
So let's talk a little bit about your life, right? Your father was a Hell's Angel. What was your life like growing up, man?
I had a pretty decent childhood growing up. But I had some emotional problems, stuff like that. Grew up on a big farm, pretty much by myself. I was raised by my stepdad. He was a military man, truck driver, very strict, very hard. And on the other hand, my real dad, it was the opposite. You could just imagine. You read some of the Time magazine articles and stuff about him and stuff like that. You got a good idea.
So let me stop. Your father was kind of on the other side of the civil rights movement, right?
Yeah, they won't count on. He helped kick it off.
Tell the people kind of like.
Just for the record straight, I'm not about all that stuff. I'm not really racist at all. I'm just racist against dumb people or racist toward me. That was one of my problems when I was in the Feds, because I fucked with everybody.
We'll talk about that stuff. But your dad, you said he kind of started that whole thing on that side?
Well, when he was in the Stormtroopers up at UNC Chapel Hill campus, he ended up they was having a civil rights movement, and he ended up murdering a guy out there behind it. And him and three of his partners, they got acquitted on it a year later in a trial. They got acquitted of it in 30 minutes. And that caused a lot of problems. And for years, up until today, you can look it up. You've seen some of the stuff I sent you. They're retrying. There's colleges that have lawyers colleges for all over the country that are retrying that trial, and they found stuff to bring it back to court on, and they was getting ready to probably bring him back to court, but he died.
Your father died. Where'd your father die at?
He died in a nursing home.
Was he also in federal prison at one time?
You what?
Your father ever in federal prison? Yeah,
he was in federal prison 3 times. He was in Petersburg twice. And then he was in McCain, and then he was in Butner. He went in the late 70s the first time for explosives and some guns and stuff like that. And then the last 2 times with guns and meth and shit like that. So
let's talk about you, though. We got a little background on your father. He was in the Time magazine. You had sent me the articles. You go to prison as a young man. What are you, a bank robber?
Yeah, I was a bank robber. I was 26 years old. When I got locked up. I've been to state prison. I've done 2 years in state prison prior, and was out 2 years before I caught this sentence. And so altogether, I probably got 16 and a half years, 17 years behind the bars. In North Carolina State Prison is like all the other state prisons. It's not nowhere a white man wants to be. And that's just how
you sound like. You sound like Boomheimer right there. What'd you say?
Boomheimer. I said, the other state prisons around, North Carolina's not any different. You do not want to be in one of them state prisons, especially North Carolina, if you're white. You have nothing coming except a long road.
Long road. We're going to talk a little bit about the feds, though, because you end up in the feds, bank robbery. How much time are you sentenced to?
I got 151 to 188 months. Ended up doing 13 and a half years.
13 and a half years. You lost all your good time, right?
I lost all my good time the first year I was in there. But I also had an uncle that was already in the feds that I had done some conversating with, and he told me, "You got enough time. Don't even let that. That's going to keep you from your goals in there. Is worrying about that time. 'Cause you're not going to make it." That's exactly what I was told by several people. You're going to lose that good time. So might as well just don't worry about it and go on about how you handle your business. That's exactly what I did.
Talk about handling your business. You end up in Atlanta. Is that the first federal prison you go to?
Yeah, the first penitentiary I went to was Atlanta. I got designated in Orange County, North Carolina, and found out the same day that I was leaving to go to Atlanta 2 hours later. They don't give you enough. They woke us up, told us we was designated, and then we left on the bus a couple hours later. So I ended up in Atlanta 7, 8 hours later after I found out that's where I was going.
What's Atlanta like?
Cool.
What's Atlanta like for you, Ronnie, when you get there?
Atlanta, it was not a very political, as to say, segregated groups. If there weren't any Aryan Brotherhood, any stuff like that. Really, they were there, but they didn't have no charge. They didn't have no power over much, except their minions or whatever followed them to that place. So there I started out to not get involved into the white politics so hard to start off. It's probably better for me to go there, but I ended up doing a major bad thing and ended up getting stabbed 2 other racists in a fight over my cellar. And that started a long looking over my shoulder for doing the right thing. I tell you, there's other people that seen it that knew I done right, and they gave me a good name. The Italian, Victor Arena, Tupac Shakur, Daddy Dr. Shakur. There's a bunch of them that gave me a pad. Well, I had a red light on me. They gave me the green card.
Vic Arena was he your cellie at one time?
Vic Arena was, yeah, twice he was. It was my cellie 2 times in Coleman. And when he left and came back to the hospital, and he requested me, when I first got there, he found out I was in the shoe because I used to cut their hair. And he found out I was in the shoe. So they thought he was playing. I want that kid in my room. I want him in the cell with me. They said, why? They said, because I don't want none of you other clowns in here. He was cool. But then I didn't really know him either until I got to know him. It was like, damn, that old man sleeping up under me is the cause of all that.
Let's talk about the thing that you said was a bad thing. You did a bad thing in Atlanta. What was it?
I had a sailor named Emmett Bishop. He was about 77 years old. Tough old man. He taught me a lot of stuff. He taught me how, my trade was moonshine. He taught me how to moonshine in prison. I already knew how to do it on the street, but he taught me some stuff. And he also told me how to sharpen a real, real good shank. And told me I was going to need one day if I was going to carry myself the way I carried myself. I was going to need one. I did. I'm not far out there. He had some wine that wasn't ready, and you know that'd make you sick. And you also know that if you're in a PISA or the Border Brother Court and they're trying to work things out, they have a no drinking policy. And they had a couple of PISAs come down that was already drunk. He refused them. He didn't want to get no beef with them, and they threatened him right in front of him. I mean, they threatened him with his life. If he didn't, they was going to take the shit. I'm not going to let them do that, and I didn't. So they went upstairs. And I knew what was going to happen, but I was in D1 in Atlanta, the doghouse. They were in D3. So all the inmates that go in the other 4 floors above you have to come right through your unit. I mean, every time there's a movement, there's 1,000 people go through your unit. It's very, very, they don't have to worry about that upstairs. We had to worry about it on the bottom floor. Well, I'd already knew what was going to happen. That was going to do an orderly switch up move. Come down the steps and be on the red top when I come out. And that's exactly what they did. But I had my cellie was the main orderly, and I got out before they did and was waiting for them when they got there. And it was seen by a lot of people that was my saving grace is the way I handled it. I was scared to death, but I just the way I had to handle it.
What happens? Do they stab you first or you stab them first?
I got one of them first through the wrist, and there was 2 of them. I'm 6'2". I probably weighed 245 back then. These little guys, they were 5'5", 5'6", 140 pounds, way faster. And you don't have to be very big to push that seal. The first one got me in the hip, and he got me in the side of the arm the second time. When I turned around and I got the one that was going back up the steps, he got me right through the side of the jaw, knocked out 2 teeth on one side, and it went under my tongue and came out the other side. It was about an 8 or 9 inch ice pick, and it was made out of a coffee thermostat or something that come out of the coffee machine.
Ask you this: he stabs you in the face, right? What do you?
Yeah.
Do you panic? Do you keep fighting? Do you pull it out? I mean, what happens?
Well, like you, I've been in the ring quite a few times. I've been hit a bunch of times, and I thought that's what happened. I didn't know I had been stabbed. I knew that one of them had a piece on him, and that's the one that already hit me. I wasn't expecting this other one, because he had a book bag. I thought he was going to club me. You know what them book bags, Mexican book bags, all about. So when I started bleeding, I spit out teeth. I said, I ain't never had nobody hit me hard enough like that to knock a tooth out. Well, they knocked it out with that shank. And I was called up. You know, I had the Big Ben coat on in the summertime. That was a giveaway. Remember the Big Ben coats? I had the Big Ben coat on. That's probably the only thing that saved me from getting a couple in the neck. I got one of them real good, and he started squalling, and they took off the left. One went one way around the tier toward the guards, and the other one went back up the steps. And I was stuck in the middle, and they locked me in the red top. At about the time it's for count to be over with, and that was going to release about 1,000 more of them right to where I was at. And that's about what happened, but nobody upstairs knew what happened. That was the quietest night fight I ever seen.
So what happened after that?
All you heard was the tennis shoes squeaking.
Cops come? Do you have to go to the hospital? What happens?
Oh, yeah, they came. When they come in Atlanta, most of them are ex-football players, Marine type dude. They like to bang with you. They want you to do something like that so they can bounce you off everything. Yeah, they done a good job of it. They didn't believe me when I told them I've been hit like that. I've been stabbed. Because it was a little bitty punch wound on one side. Under my tongue, my tongue was about to come out of my mouth. And I kept showing them, and the dude said, "Oh, you ain't been stabbed in the mouth. There's no way you could have stabbed you in the mouth." So I sat in the cell, in a holding cell for 2 days, holding my tongue out, trying to eat, trying to drink, and all that stuff. And finally, one of the PAs, if I can think of his name, I'll tell you, it was Honduras. PA came to work on that Monday. This happened on a Friday, and seen me and raised hell, dude. Got me over there to They took me to O'Grady Hospital in Atlanta. And
when you get stabbed, are you thinking like, "Damn, my life could be over with right here"?
No, I kept thinking a couple inches up, it'd have been through my skull, or my neck. A couple inches down, a couple inches up, it could have been another. It would have been another thing. Or they were serious about what I want. I want on the serious. I was on the. I had to do what I had to do till, and scared to death. They wanted to kill. There's a difference there, and that's probably what saved me too. And just being big and being able to swing hard, that helped me. They couldn't get me off my feet.
So after that happens, do you get transferred from Atlanta, or do you stay there?
I stayed in the hole in Atlanta for 9 months, and they sent me to Lompoc, California. Straight to the shoot, and there you gotta have somebody come and pay you bond, especially if you get transferred on anything other than a natural transfer. If you have any problems before you go there, you gotta have a sponsor. You gotta have somebody come and get you. Well, they already knew I was coming, and I had like 6 bikers. I had one of them. He was a maniac. He tried to keep me in there. Because he said I was trying to live on my dad's name. It wasn't anything like that at all. That was the last thing I did. There's only a few people in there even knew that the lifestyle I came from. I want to keep it like that too. You know, it helped me out a lot.
What's Lompoc like? Lompoc's a pretty dangerous place back then. You're probably over there with my boy Eddie Boy. I don't know if you know him or remember him, but he was an NLR dude. He was over there. He put in some serious work over there as well at Lompoc.
Yeah, there was a bunch of serious. Some of the pictures I sent you was Big Casper, Casper Nagel from out of Oregon. He was he wasn't he was AIC. And that what is AIC?
I don't know, ARM, maybe ARM, ARM, SAC.
No, no.
Oh
But
man, whatever
anyway,
you say.
this when I got Lompoc, it was the first place that I actually was on a full blown uh, skinhead Nazi type yard. That's the first one I've been on, and because North Carolina it's not nothing like that at all. You raise your head or put a swastika on you in North Carolina State Prison, you're dead. Pretty much if you're white. You got to be a bad motherfucker to get through North Carolina State. So I've never seen that shit. My dad was a full blown Nazi on a different level, on a way different level. He wore a patch on him and said that he was stormtrooper. So that gives you an idea. I wasn't prepared for what they were all about. First thing I met Ronnie Farmer. First person that come to me, Joey Burke come to me. He's in the car now with the guys. So, and I've already heard about these guys and how dangerous they are and how much they try to put a show on to keep the cred, whatever you want to call it. And I was just always type of dude. You get in front of my face, I'm just gonna knock you out. That's how I always been. But I couldn't do that no more. There was no way I could do that anymore. Not there, because when I got there, I learned a whole lot real quick. And I had a couple the Hells Angels, had a couple of the Pagans, I had a couple of the biker dudes that were there, and there was a bunch of them. You imagine California's full of bikers. They sat me down and told me what was up and what won't, and I've carried it from that way on and didn't get stabbed no more. Never got my ass. I've been in some fights. I had my ass beat by the cops a couple times, but I probably had that coming too.
So Lompoc, how long are you in Lompoc for?
I was in Lompoc for 29 months, and my points miraculously my points went down a little bit, and they ended up sending me to Edgefield, South Carolina, medium high. I was on the border. Within 5 or 6 months, my points would have been FCI. So they went ahead and just sent me there. It was like they had the medium high. Because they built 1 tower, 2 towers, and they made it high. So I didn't get one shot at all at Lompoc, not one. Everywhere else I've been, I got like 10 at each place.
So people understand, though, whenever you're on one of them West Coast prisons, like you said, it was ganged up. Some of the worst things you've seen at Lompoc happen.
Oh, they had a different method in there. They like the firebombing. That's why alcohol in Lompoc is so forbidden. They don't make moonshine there because they will come and burn you up. They will literally catch you in the cell, pour a gallon of moonshine on you, throw the match to you. I was there when I'm not sure what else I'm not going to say. The Dominican, whatever they were, they flayed the guy's legs. They flayed him. And then I was there when about 6 or 7 of the Serenos all OD'd at the same day, and 3 of them died. And I mean, died right there in front of him. I didn't see.
Man. Listen, you were a young man at that time, right? So what's it like for you to see people just dying, bro?
Well, I've been through some stuff before I went to prison. I had a couple of assault with deadly weapons, attempted murders, and I seen folks and been shot at. I had several people try to take my life a couple times before I ever even got my first charge. I was just seeing a lot of heavy shit. Not necessarily try to fit in, but to fit in with family. You couldn't be my dad. You couldn't be my stepdad or my dad's son not be tough. There was no way that was going to happen. So tough comes out in a lot of ways. It comes out in being ignorant. It comes out in being good. So I don't like to call myself ignorant, but so I try to be good with it. And that don't work all the time either.
You move on in your career, right? You end up at Edgefield. What's it like to go from a max to an FCI?
Well, Edgefield was actually about the same as maybe Coleman would have been. Coleman one. It was popular. They were stabbing people. And they were getting their work done. It didn't matter. It don't matter to a guy in pen if he's never going to go home about going to a FCI, they want to stay independent. So they send you to a FCI. That just gives you a little exercise, a little vacation to either boost up your legend or try to do good. And most of them don't try to do good. They usually go right back to a worse penitentiary, or they end up in Marion, or they go to ADX or somewhere like that.
Where do you become Vic Selly at? I know you become Vic Selly. Where'd you say that was at?
That was in Coleman, Florida. And we was in the handicap cell, so we had a big house.
What was he like living with Vic? What was Vic like?
I can say it was like living with a very strict grandpa, a grandfather that that was a straight ass killer, that that could stop or start shit with just one word. And he never stealed that on you. He never acted that way. It's only to his guys. And he had a crew, let me tell you. He didn't know what to do. I cut hair, I was a barber. They also, they're very devout Catholics, so they have a little toddy with the rosary, and they do the little Sunday, go to the barbershop Sundays. They got to have a little drink. So that was pretty much. I'm not saying that's why he kept me around. I also run the poker table for him. He trusted me. He trusted me a lot, and I was the only celly he had ever had up to that time. I understand. And he was getting on an age, and he was getting where he couldn't move around as much. So there was I didn't nobody call me Daddy Vic's boy or no shit like that. They just knew. And for him to call me into his cell, that was more like it was unbelievable to both of them. And I knew exactly who he was by that time. I mean, I found out when I was cutting the hair, and they kept doing the little knocks and the little noises. They would get close to the ear with the scissors or something like that. And they tried me a couple times to joke with me and all that. And I passed their test. You don't want. It's like the movies. The old cowboy sitting in the barber chair, shaking. The barber shaking because he's getting ready to shave him. That's exactly how it was. They had to put me at ease by teasing me. And then they asked me to be a seller. He actually came to the shoe to get me out. When I got there, he already knew I was coming. He had paperwork.
Let me ask you this, right? You talk a little bit about hustling. We hear a lot about the violence and stuff like that, but prison hustling. Vic, this is Vic Orena, right? Mobster. He has a poker table. What's he paying you to run his poker table?
I got a percentage on it, on the pops, and if it didn't work out like that, because my deal was if there's any discrepancies in money, that type was done with right then. It just worked out, and that was Vic and Sal. That was their rule, and everybody sitting down at that table knew that. So I didn't really have a lot of discretion to change what they did. That was no, but it was I'm a counter. I've always since a little kid I counted shit. It was kind of backwards dyslexic, triple dyslexic, whatever you want to call it, and I didn't really have to put in there. You got to keep the books. I didn't have to until I got back to the cell, and I was right pretty much every time. But with him, it was mainly what the kitchen stuff that he was doing for me. What my trade was moonshine. It takes a lot of sugar and a lot of ingredients to do that. When somebody like him, I kick them off a couple bottles. They go to the poker table. They take 2 bottles of moonshine. They just made $1,000 by getting them drunk. So it kind of worked out.
What would you make? What would you make?
Do what now?
On that poker table, what would you make though? I mean, a week? Would you make $200, $500? I mean, give me a roundabout estimate.
No, not like that, because I didn't play. I didn't play a lot. Some dealers they'll play and deal stuff and stuff like that. I probably most I made probably $180 in one night, one day, and that was just picking two. We got the $5 chips, we got the quarter chips. That's just grabbing a couple and not even counting. I didn't do it for the money. I had my own hustle. I did it for the other benefits of it. That I had an easy way of getting rid of my product out there we call it Bang Bang Room, the casino, whatever you want to call it. But that wasn't the only table going on by no means. They had every kind of game going you could imagine. Um, it was just an easier way for me to get my ingredients and get rid of my product, and I was pretty lucrative. But I lost a lot of time behind it too.
Did Vic ever talk about getting out of prison? Do you ever think he would ever get out?
Every day. Every day after he would do his rosary. Now my mother and my aunt were in contact with Vic's wife, Maria. They sending money back, you know how it works. And they changed it to where we could only have, I think it was $800 something on our books at any time. They changed it or something like that. They called me because they were still finding paper, they were still finding quarters. 10 years later, after they took the money, they were still finding $100 rolls of quarters. I mean, and they were trying to eliminate all that, and they put us on, the red card, the commissary card. And well, Vic probably had 20 of them. He had a full. He was something, but that's what you get when you come to prison. A millionaire.
You talked about losing your good time. So I got more time over it. What'd you lose all your good time for? Fighting, drinking, alcohol?
All of the above. I lost the most, but the closest I come, I got threatened a lot with introduction of caustic flammable liquids, all kinds of stuff. They try to go around it being alcohol. It's a weapon. It's this, it's that. But the closest I came was threatening an officer. Didn't even put my hands on him. I threatened him. I was in the shoe. I was sick. I'd been sick for weeks. Had an abscess too. Couldn't eat. Hadn't ate for days. And I've been trying to get to see the PA. They had my medicine ordered. I hadn't got it in like a week and a half or 2 weeks. So I went off. I let them know. And I'll let you read. I'll put it up to the screen. Let you read to the shop right now. All I told them was, I said, if I was one of you, if I was a cop working here, and I put my arm in that slot and it got broke off by a mean inmate, I'd get immediate attention, wouldn't I? Why don't you put your arm through the slot and see how quick you get your attention? That's what I want. I've been begging you for fucking 2 weeks to get me some help, and I'm not getting it. The next person puts their arm through there is not going to get it back. And I was big enough. I'm in it, and I got some help after they put me on 3-man hold and all that shit for the rest of my time behind it. I was on 3-man hold. Always captain and lieutenant with the camera right there from first word to last word. And I started pushing paperwork on them, and they hate that shit.
You ever have an actual physical confrontation with a cop in any prison?
Yeah, I have a couple of them. I had the lieutenant down.
I'm shocked about that, Ron.
Huh?
I said, I'm shocked.
I had a lieutenant. I was just telling my girlfriend about this morning when we was watching some of the shows. This was in Lee County. Me and my celly buddy got in a fight. And on the shot it said inmate Turner continued his assault until he was restrained. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Even if he's your cell, you still got to, from the beginning. He hit me when I was laying down on my bunk that we were shining. He done got us busted one time that night. They come back, just told us to give him the shit. He's raising hell with him. He hits me. He hit that where the ladders are is where I laid at. He reached through the ladder and hit me on my nose. I got him beat his ass. And it was right after they did count, but they had to do a recount. So this lasted probably about 5-6 minutes. They said it was an excessive assault. Even though Butter and my cellies telling no, we won't like that. We was just drunk. We was just wrestling. They said, no, y'all won't wrestling. And well, they're taking me out. And people's hollering, hey, I'm gonna hold this down for you, And the lieutenant had me, and they already had me on shackles, had me in the back. So I'm hollering, and he walked up beside me and he said, I hollered in the dude. He slammed me face first down on the concrete in the teleport. About broke my nose, jerked me back up. He was a pretty big guy. Grabbed me back up by the handcuffs, and then 2 more grabbed me by the feet cuffs and dragged me all the way to the shoe. I didn't holler none of them do no more.
The shoe. You spent a lot of time in the shoe. Do you think it affected you, mentally, emotionally, being locked in a cell by yourself?
At the beginning, the thought of it, I was always pretty much, like I said, I grew up on a farm, basically isolated. So being isolated wasn't a real big deal to me. It was the thought of being in there and like you're saying, be labeled as something wrong with me for being, because my mother and father didn't have a clue about what goes on in places. I didn't tell them. I didn't want them to know. I didn't want to scare my mother. Like, I love my mother. I would have done anything in the world for her. She done a lot for me to keep me from going to any places. And I'm not. And a lot of people, you hear them on the phones all the time. They brag to their mom and dad. Yeah, I booked that nigga. But this dude hit me, and I'm in the shoe for that. Whatever. I didn't want my mother to know that stuff. But they have certain things. If you do certain violent crimes in the feds, they contact your family and tell them. But after if your PSI, not PSI, but if your release paper shows that you're going back to their house or you're going to a family member's home, they can call and tell them, hey, he got hepatitis C. Hey, he's messing with the pumps. Hey, we caught him with this and that. Hey, somebody in your family tried to introduce drugs in here. They can tell your family that, but they can't tell them what the inner workings of prison. But they can tell what you do. If there anybody's name on your PSI, they can tell them people what you're doing.
Well,
And
back
my
then,
mother found out some horrendous shit about that. My mother didn't know I had been stabbed until like a year and a half later, and they told her. I was in California, I didn't have to worry about getting a visit no more. When she found that out, she couldn't believe it. She said, I never noticed you grew a beard. I never grew a beard until I got stabbed. You can see it. And I was preparing for a visit when I got back on the East Coast, and I didn't want her to see it. The first thing I did, she told me she don't want you to shave before you come out there. I want to see what they did to you. I said, Mama, they didn't do that. I did that. And it was that was a changing point. My mother she went from being heartbroken to absolutely just demolished. I mean, and my dad, both of them, I got one in federal prison with me, and I got the other one that was like, well, at least you didn't kill him. At least they didn't kill you. And when he talked to Dan Dove, he talked to Dan Dove on the phone, and Dan Dove told him some stuff out there. And he said, well, you're lucky he didn't kill both of them. And that didn't help me out at all. Because my stepfather and my mother just didn't understand the workings in it because I didn't explain it to them. I didn't want them to know. Because I was learning, of course, I could tell them anything about state prison that they wanted to know. But I was learning this shit as I went. Every place I went to was different. It's not like Groundhog Day. Every day is different. They can say that you wake up every day and do the same thing every day. And you might get up the same day and tie your shoes the same way or eat your breakfast the same day. But you're trying to stay alive a different way every day. And I tried to do it in a humane way, not have to really hurt a lot of people. But I knew I was going to have to. I've never been a pushover, but I'm not no big tough guy. There was plenty of guys in there that could knock me down. But I stood up to them just to let them know, hey, you got to do that to make me do anything. And I've done that with guards too. And once they find that out, they keep them shooting.
What was the worst prison you ever been to?
The worst one, that was a toss-up. And when I was in Victorville, they was going to put me through the step-down program, but they didn't. They ended up sending me to Lee County. They'd already had a big incident in Lee County where a bunch of guys came off the white board. And then when I got there, it happened again. Then the situation with y'all. It would be a toss-up between Lee County and probably Victorville. Just the shooting in Victorville was horrible. I've been to two shootings where people have been murdered. Victorville was one of them, and Edgefield was one. Where Animal killed. I can't think of the name. Remember, Animal killed dude in the cell. The orderly dude, and that was right next door to my cell. Me and I think it was Jimmy Blow. I think he was my cell in the shoe.
Jimmy Blow. Jimmy Blow was your cellie?
In the shoe.
At Lee County?
Do what?
Where was your celly at? Lee County?
In the shoot. Is either Lee County or is either Lee County or Edgefield. I was in two places with him.
Let me tell you about Animal. Listen, the thing you're talking about with Animal wasn't in South Carolina. It was in Florida. It was in Florida.
Animal.
Down there when Animal killed. Hold on now. Let me talk for a minute. Okay. You were down there when Animal killed the orderly. They put him in the cell because he grabbed the CO, grabbed the CO's ass.
Yeah. He bounced him off the floor for 2 hours and stomped him. He jump off the toilet. We could hear all of it. And it you know how usually in the shoot it's so loud that you have to take turns hobbling back and forth down the tier. It was so quiet, dude. You could hear the people's toilets running. And you know that's quiet. It was so quiet, and all you could hear is thuds. And you know what they were. And these were right through my wall. It was, and I knew what type of dude Animal was. He could do that to about anybody he wanted to. He was a vicious ass motherfucker. And he taught the dude to sleep, and it was all because of the female guard that was working there. Her and her husband worked there, and just orderly. He'd been an orderly. Now think about this: everywhere he'd been for 10 years, he never hit a compound. He was an orderly in the shoe only, and so anybody knew that something was up with him. Well, he ended up disrespecting this woman guard, and her husband talked to Animal. Why don't you bring him in your cell and to beat the shit out of him for me one time? He said, I'd do that. And they gave him some little favors, whatever, the guards, and gave Animal some favors. And he talked the dude into a cell and killed him like 2 hours later.
Got a couple packs of cigarettes. She ended up with a life sentence. Her husband wasn't really involved. Her husband.
That's exactly right. I forgot about that. They gave we had cigarettes in here. They had took them out, but they had gave us time to get rid of them. Or they had a certain amount of time. That I think that was not what was the name of the law? It was a Zimmerman.
I don't remember, but it don't matter. At the end of the day, they paid Animal a couple packs of cigarettes to kill this dude. Her husband wasn't involved.
I believe that's what that was.
Hold on now, Ron. Her husband wasn't involved. He still works for the BOP. She ended up with a life sentence, but it was the other guard that worked on the range and another guard. So actually 3 guards ended up going to federal prison over that. But anyway.
I got a pit bull puppy trying to pull the phone over.
You're fine. So anyway, Ron, how long you been out, Ron?
I got out in 2009, December the 8th, 2009.
Never went back, violation, nothing.
No, I ended up getting in a fight with a guy at a place I worked at, and go on, pup. Hey, come get this puppy. He's pulling the rug out from under my thing.
All right, let's take it on, Ronnie. Come on. Come on.
I'm sorry about that.
We're gonna try and play for a minute.
2009. I got out. I got in a fight with a guy I worked with about 3 years later, and called my parole officer, my federal parole officer, and he told me, "Go just turn yourself in when I tell you to, and I'll be down there to get you right back out." And that's exactly what it did. And he went and talked to the guy I worked with and told him I've been on it. They actually came out to Victorville and Lompoc to see me to do a home what do you call it, the map your home like that when you get out. That's going to halfway house and to the house. So they was going to my dad's farm, trying to talk him into me coming home. He said he's not coming home anytime soon. I said, yes, he is. Well, ended up they put a warrant on me in Durham for beating this dude up. He was stealing from me. I drove the truck. I drove a big truck. He rode with me. He was my helper, and he was stealing from me. And I warned him and told him, "I'm giving you a warning. If I find out you stole from me, I'm gonna punish you." And he did it again. I set him up, and he done it. And waited till we got back to work. Got my boss man. My boss man actually was my uncle, and my other boss man was actually my cousin. I told him what happened. And they said, "Okay, I've done what I had to him," and went turned myself in. And his name's Woody King. He was my parole officer. He's Middle District of North Carolina. He was cool. when he went down there and told the magistrate and all that, hey, he's going with me. He said, hey, you can't do that. And he pulled out that federal badge. He's going with me. I walked right out of there. And I promised him that day, you don't have to worry about me going back. You know, it's not going to happen. He said, well, you don't let nobody push you over like that. He said, you didn't do it in there. You don't have to do it out here if you're in the right. But you and I both know that you can still get in trouble for doing the right thing out here too on parole.
100%. But let me
I didn't have a hiccup or any kind of infraction or anything for 3 years I was on release.
So you kind of learned to appreciate your freedom after doing 13 years, right?
What, Chad?
I said you appreciate your freedom after doing 13 and a half years, right?
Yeah, I sort of. I went home. When I went home, my mother was already passed away, and it was just me and my father living on this farm. Well, our farm is 1,100 acres. It's bigger than any compound we've ever been on. And the farm that they moved to, I hadn't seen since I was a little kid. It was a family farm. They moved from one farm to another. And when I couldn't believe you could have put Atlanta, you could put 4 or 5, you could put the whole compound of compound in the farm. So I felt like I had enough room, but what's next? I'm content. I got the room. Well, I could, if I've done all that time in one of the little cells, this is going to be perfect. Well, it won't like that. Because here come the women, here come the bars, I had to be careful. Because I just had started my own business, and my dad and my uncles helped me start my own business, tire business, and I didn't want to mess it up, so I stayed away from the bars. I didn't stay away from the women. That caused me a lot of trouble.
Anyway, listen, man, you're out here now. You're living your best life. You've been out a long time. I personally know you. I know that you were a little bit crazy. I'm just going to call it what it was. When you were in prison, you didn't take no shit, didn't have no problem, fighting or doing whatever needed to be done on prison politic thing. But, before we get ready to go, Ronnie, anything you want to say to the people that have been tuning in?
Yeah, I want to tell one thing. I use the experiences that I went through, what I learned in federal prison to help my youngest son. Immediately after I got out of prison, he was in trouble, very serious trouble. He was facing 88 years. 3 of them was federal hate crimes. And long story short, he got up he was 16 years old, messing with some other kids, which happened to be Spanish and black, and 2 of them actually were sheriff deputies' kids. We're going around breaking into churches and parking and little side buildings. Well, one of the kids caught a trash can on fire, and they said that they were trying to burn it. And no bonds, anything like that. My son had 36 or 37 felony charges on him. I got a chance to cut him off before he went and talked to the prosecutor and stuff, and sat down with the prosecutor, with the judges and everything, and told him, them other kids, I've already told it all. I just left. You can check my record where I come from. I don't have anything in my PSI at all about snitching. I said, he's not, if he's got 88, he's faking 88 years, he's going to get some of that. And he's not going as a snitch. Y'all do not question him unless he's not in my father's presence. And they went along with it. And one of the prosecutors said, we ain't even got, you're right, Mr. Turner, we don't even have to question him anymore. They all done told it on him. All he's got to do is say what he did. And I made myself, I drilled him. I'm coaching him in jail too. They have, he's 16 years old, or 15, maybe 15 or 16, in population with regular population. My son, don't say he's 6'5", 275 pounds now. He was 6'2", 6'3" then, but still he was a minor. The experience that I had, I sat down and he was the first woman I come home, I opened up to and told some of the stuff that I had been through. Not to be big or bad, but to scare the shit out of them if I could. And let him read them paperwork and let him see how, because he only got to come and see me a couple times in 13 years. I left here, he was 9 months old, excuse me. And my oldest daughter was 8.5 years old when I left. So I come back home with grandkids and a 6'3" baby. It's been kind of hard to scare one like that. But that judge, I stood up with him in that courtroom, and that judge said, they called it out in months. I couldn't imagine how many 88 years, how many months he said. It's just like everything I went deaf. My son was holding me up and I was holding him up. Because I told him, I said, just because you put a plea bargain in, don't mean that man there's got to give you that. He can still give you that 88 years. You stand right here, because you're going to have to hold me up if he gives you anything over 5. Luckily, they made him go back to high school. He went through like a reform school type in the city, but he graduated high school behind it. He got through his probation. He's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Just kindest, generous person you can imagine. Not been in any trouble since then at all. Scared. I wish I'd have had something like that happen to me instead of trying to live up to that. Because a lot, I didn't. A lot of my friends and stuff, like my girlfriend, for example, her sister is married to the son of my dad's. He was president of Hell's Angels and our best friend. He's Hell's Angels too. So we it stays close. It's well, and Durham is kind of a weird place anyway. Durham is like the murder capital of North Carolina. It's also the richest for certain up and coming groups. Like they're trying to revitalize Durham and stuff like that. Well, the only way they're going to do that is get the murder rate down under 100 every 6 months. And my son grew up in all that stuff. He thought that was cool until he was involved in it. And
listen, you don't think it's cool no more. You said he's living a good life. You're home. You're free. I appreciate you, man, coming on, Ronnie. I know you. I personally know you. Been in prison with you. Like I said, you got a story. You've been around some real dangerous people, man. And you've been in some situations where it's like, damn, bro, this is the shit that really happens. But hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, sharing your experiences, Ronnie. We're gonna get ready to close the show, man. And before we go, one last thing. Anything you want to say before I actually close it?
Yeah, if anything that people out there listening can get from these shows, and it don't have to necessarily be Chad's show, but I want you to watch Chad's show. Mash that like button.
Well, listen,
I hear you say all that. But if anybody can take anything away from these shows and carry it with them, and remember, hey, my worst day out here, I can have 1,000 bad days out here, and it's not going to equal 1 minute in that damn hellhole. Every day you wake up, you're wondering if you're going to make it to see the dark, and not that kind of dark. You want to make it the next day. And then there's some guys in there that are dead set on making sure you don't. And to come out of there, if anybody who comes out in places we come out of say that they're not affected or have not been scarred, they're straight out lying. Or they are scarred because they're crazy as hell now because they said that.
I'm going to tell people, if you like what we do, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You heard it from Ronnie. It's real and it's raw. With respect, until tomorrow, we're out.